If people like you, you are easier to replace than you think. And that's exactly why being liked makes you weak. We were raised to believe that kindness is strength, that being liked keeps us safe, that approval protects us from conflict, loss, and rejection. But human nature doesn't work that way. Niccolo Machiavelli understood something most people still refuse to accept. Those who are loved are tested. Those who are liked are replaced. And only those who can be lost are respected. This video is not about cruelty. It's not about manipulation. It's about why modern morality clashes with reality, and why being good without boundaries quietly destroys your power. Kindness sends a signal, not a moral one, a behavioral one. When you are consistently kind, accommodating, and understanding, people don't see virtue first. They see accessibility. Human beings instinctively test what feels accessible, not out of malice, but out of uncertainty. A small request becomes a larger one. A mild comment becomes a subtle provocation. A boundary not enforced becomes a boundary that doesn't exist. This is how testing begins. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The kinder you appear, the more pressure you attract, unless there are consequences. Most people don't cross lines because they want to dominate you. They cross lines to find out where the lines are. When nothing happens, the test escalates, not because they hate you, but because the system allows it. Kindness without resistance doesn't create trust. It creates uncertainty, and uncertainty invites pressure. This is where most people misunderstand human behavior. They believe being tested means they are being disrespected. In reality, it means they haven't communicated consequence. Respect is not granted to intentions. It forms around structure, and where structure is missing, testing becomes inevitable. Being liked feels powerful. Approval feels like security. It feels like belonging. But psychologically, it creates a hidden weakness. To be liked, you must be agreeable. To remain liked, you must stay predictable. And predictability is the enemy of leverage. When people like you, they enjoy you, but they don't need you. Liking is based on comfort, not consequence, and comfort is easy to replace. This is why the most liked person in the room is rarely the most protected. They are valued, but not essential. The moment a more agreeable version appears, the system adapts. Not out of cruelty, but efficiency. Human groups don't preserve what feels optional. They preserve what would cost them to lose. This is the silent trade-off of being liked. You gain warmth, but lose gravity. And without gravity, influence doesn't hold. This is why popularity fades quickly under pressure. When resources shrink, when conflict appears, when decisions carry risk, people don't look for the most pleasant presence. They look for the one whose absence would create a problem. Love feels noble. Respect feels distant. Fear feels uncomfortable. Modern culture tells us to choose love. But human behavior doesn't respond to ideals. It responds to incentives. Love is emotional. It's generous, but it's also optional. People can love you and still leave you. They can admire you and still replace you. Respect works differently. Respect is not about affection. It's about consequence. When people respect you, they measure their actions around you, not because they like you, but because your absence would change the equation. This is where fear is misunderstood. Fear is not violence. It's not cruelty. It's the awareness of loss. Fear exists wherever consequences are real, not fear of harm, fear of disruption, fear of instability. fear of losing access to something that matters. This is why respect outlives love. Love fades when conditions change. Respect remains as long as the structure remains. This isn't cynical, it's descriptive. Human systems don't run on warmth, they run on stability. Most people lose power when they feel misunderstood. They explain, they justify, they defend their intentions, and every explanation feeds the test. When you explain yourself, you reveal uncertainty. You invite negotiation. You offer data. Silence does the opposite. Silence removes material. It forces others to interpret. And interpretation creates caution. Calm, non-reaction is not weakness. It's a symmetry. The less you reveal, the more others must calculate. And calculation slows aggression. This is why the most grounded individuals rarely over-explain, not because they are cold, but because they understand that power leaks through words. Where there is silence, structure becomes visible, and structure is what people ultimately respond to. In every system, families, workplaces, friendships, societies, the same pattern repeats. The kindest person is appreciated. The most liked person is enjoyed. But the one who survives pressure is the one whose loss would matter. Survival doesn't come from approval. It comes from position, from boundaries that don't need explanation, from consequences that don't need emotion, from presence that isn't always available. This is why power often looks quiet. It doesn't argue. It doesn't convince. It doesn't chase agreement. It allows others to choose and then live with the result. When people know they can't endlessly test you, when they sense that access to you is conditional, when they understand that losing you would change the structure, testing stops, replacement stops, and respect begins. This isn't about becoming feared. It's about becoming non-trivial. Not everyone will like you, but the right people will think twice before losing you. And that hesitation is where real power lives. If this made you uncomfortable, you're probably closer to the truth than most people. Subscribe if you want more conversations like this.